And good morning, everyone. John Hutchinson and Jeff Wood at Traders Reserve. Welcome to Breakfast Club, Wednesday, July 23rd. It is 8:30 in the morning. Good bit of quick stuff to cover with you, and then we'll turn it over to Jeff with some most interesting slides of the day, something along those lines. Good morning, Jeff. How are you doing?
Good. You said I was going to come on in 5 minutes, so I was not ready to say hello, everyone. But hello, everyone.
I got to throw curveballs every
Yeah, I
now and
know, I
then.
know, I know. It's all good.
Let's go to quick change over to the slide, not non-slide, excuse me, take a pre-market look at what's happening. We start today with uh, the the beginning of big tech earnings. There was yesterday Texas Instruments reported okay earnings, but big move lower this morning, down 10%, as earnings were just earnings revenue, I believe, was below expectations. I'm going to dive into some of those numbers because it's a good conduit for what's taking place in the chip semiconductor market. And I'm going to take a look at a couple of other stocks with you this morning very quickly. But we can see futures across the board higher. S&P up. Looks to open up between 1.25% higher, and that will continue its very long run, breaking out since late April. Obviously, I'm sure you've heard the news overnight. Trade deal announced with Japan, and pre-market. Oh, excuse me. In the Nikkei, which was up 4% overnight. Now in the U.S. markets, Honda Motor and Toyota both up roughly 4% pre-market. So good moves for both of those companies, and another settlement, so to speak, in the tariff approach. So we'll see how that plays out. Nasdaq is a little weaker this morning, but we'll see that we have Google reporting after the market closed today. So that could give the Nasdaq some juice moving forward. The Russell has been steadily rising. Finally, looks like small caps beginning a breakout from a trading range that they kind of held through mid-June, mid-May to early June. Dow up strongly, but again, more flat than anything else over the last 20 plus days. So we'll see if that trade deal with Japan moves the Dow. Dow expected to move up 0.5% at the open today. I've been watching some stocks of note, of interest. I mentioned Texas Instruments with a gap down move this morning, expected of 10%. So looks like pre-market it's holding, bouncing off of the 200-day moving average. Excuse me. But you can see the stock had been moving up with a very strong run from mid-April to now. So I want to get into the earnings numbers and see, what did this miss? What caused this miss? Because their earnings were a beat, a nickel. So it's not like it was a penny. Revenue was slightly higher, and that my guess is that the lower end of the revenue scale is why the stock is down 10%. But that's a surprising move for a company that did beat earnings. Although you could see since 2022 in the lower middle of the screen, uh, continued decline in overall sales and earnings for Texas Instruments. So I'm wondering if this is just a continuation of that trend for the company. Another one that's caught my eye is Amphenol. This is a company that has had a huge move today. Expected move up 6%. They report before the market opened. They reported strong earnings. This is another tech company that has been on a pretty strong run, 40 plus dollars per share since the April tariff announcements. But even looking at their overall performance metrics on the far right side here, strong performance, week, month, quarter, year to date. Stock has broken out of a long-term trend range here in the run of October through March, in the right dancing around the 70 line. We'll call it that. So nice breakout stock to put on your list. They do have options, but they are, I believe, monthly options, if I remember correctly. They are indeed just monthly options. But you get closer to that monthly expiration, that might be a time to take a look at something in the 95 to 100 range if the stock is holding and continuing its trend higher. And the other stock that I was looking at, I had mentioned this stock a while back during one of our Breakfast Club sessions, a company called Sezzle, Sezl. And I had said stock is on a big tear, but I would look for a pullback, which we did get. I think I had set the pullback at around 140, so it actually breached that, but it's still sitting right around there. Stock up here in pre-market. They won't report earnings until early August. I would estimate around August 7th. Their last reporting day was May 7th. So rolling forward 90 days will be somewhere around May 7th. But still like the stock as they have rapidly growing sales, rapidly growing earnings. On the price to earnings side, a forward PE of 30 is still uh, cheap by comparison in the financial and credit services realm. Uh, but it was due for a pullback and a little bit of a consolidation. What I like about this consolidation at the moment is it did not violate the 50-day moving average, so it's still sitting up above. It does. They do have monthly options. It seems like the only stocks I can find right now for you folks are stocks with monthly options. But there's at least some activity here, especially in the 100 to 105 range. You can see open interest over 600 or to near 700. But certainly some decent premiums, pre-market pricing. So bear that in mind. But at least the stock worth keeping an eye on. This isn't a stock that we would necessarily trade in our services because the open interest and volume is too low. So I pointed out for those of you looking for a new idea to trade on your own. A stock that we've traded and talked about for a very long time, GE Vernova. They reported earnings this morning. Positive earnings again, so stock up nearly 7%. You can see that we started talking about this back when it was trading at a 180 a share last year. And so huge performance since then. And yet their GE Vernova creates the things like wind turbines, right? They're in the alternative energy space, which in the US right now is not necessarily the best of places to be, but their their international backlog was one of the strongest aspects for this stock for their long-term growth. And we sort of see that in the trading realm as the stock continues to just move higher. On the option side, this one does trade weekly options, so you have more choices available to you. Probably got to be fairly close to the money now that it's a $500 stock. Probably have to use a 5 or 10 wide spread, depending on what you would take on in terms of capital risk. But there's certainly premium available here, and it's reasonable, even working out just to the end of this week or forward to the 1st of August. I don't know about anyone else. I can't believe it's almost August 1st already. So again, not a lot of open interest here in next week. Take a quick look back at this week. Yeah, a little bit. Again, maybe tradable if we were in a service, but certainly for an individual looking for an opportunity to pick up some quick premium, does trade in 2.5 wides. So you could go pretty small on a spread for GE Vernova. And lastly, let me get back to my top here. An old favorite, Arista Networks, ANET, starting to build a trend, has not broken back out to a previous high up here back in January of 130. They don't report earnings until August 5th, but I do like this channel that's building. The 50 is above the 200. Volume looks a little bit low, just to my eye, but that can always be improved, especially if they beat earnings again. Rising earnings, rising sales.
I was gonna say, look at EPS and look at sales. Jeez,
Yeah, I
Pete's.
know. It's like, why wouldn't you buy this stock? Forward price to earnings ratio for a tech stock at 37 feels really cheap. Even the 47 feels cheap. So one of the underlying messages to share today is, although overall, I'll talk a little bit about this in tomorrow's 4 p.m. happy hour webinar. because I've seen and heard discussions around this topic of, boy, the market's at all-time highs again, record highs. We're starting to see that that fear of the next sell-off creep into traders' minds, understandably, right? When the market gets up to these highs and the greed factors are running strong, the risk of a pullback, a sell-off, a correction, all increase. But remember, as we've learned the hard way from time to time, that the market can always keep moving higher. There are justifications for a higher moving stock market. We talked about that a little bit in the valuation session a couple of weeks back. And although as Jeff shared, the equity risk premium was too balanced between stocks and bonds, if the bond market continues to move lower, especially in the 10-year treasury, that equity risk premium will rise and that will bring more money into the stock market. But as it stands right now, there are stocks out there that represent excellent values for trading, for owning, for using in your options trading. Arista Network still one of them. They also trade weekly options and do consistent open interest. Not necessarily going to have Microsoft or Google level open interest, but they are a tradable company. Lastly, down here in the middle right side, busy day today on earnings. We've already had GE Vernova, a stock we've traded recently, Thermo Fisher Scientific, TMO, reporting this morning, and NextEra Energy. Looks like it's flat to it's slightly down. Beats quarterly profit on renewable growth, blah, blah, blah. So maybe a little bit of a push higher from NextEra, NEE, and other stock that we've been trading. The ones that I'm watching, though, today are obviously Google after the market closed, Tesla.
John, are you still there? Anyone else in the chat? Do you still hear John? Or is it my internet? Oh, no, there he is back. John, are you back? All right, hang on. Let me see. We lost him. Well, that's all right. Well, I'll go through with my stuff. Then good morning, everybody. While John figures out what's going on his side, we'll do good morning. Good morning, CJ. All right. Let's do this. Okay, so as John mentioned, we had some overnight news with Japan 15% tariff on goods, including autos. So that's what's pushing some of those Japanese automakers a little higher. That came down significantly from what was expected. Plus, Japan is committing to a $550 billion investment. Philippines also made a deal. Indonesia is supposed to make a deal. So that's why we think, at least pre-market, we see the indices moving a little bit higher. As John mentioned, we do have Tesla and Google coming out as far as Mag 7. We have some other major ones being T-Mobile, IBM, ServiceNow, Thermo Fisher, as John said. Chipotle is another one. At least that's where a lot of my money goes. So I'm always want to see if that's going to good use. So in overall, current forecast is still exceeding preseason estimates. So earnings still moving strong, and that is what is helping the market, slowly rise. Although if you look at the SPX, it is definitely slowly rising. We're making all-time highs, but we're not really leaping forward every day. We have these little 0.1% gains or 0.2% gains or whatever, but nonetheless, they're still gains. As far as economic calendar, we talked about this on Monday, so we're just kind of seeing the results of this. But as far as today, we have existing home sales coming out at 10 o'clock. So again, if you're into those 0 DTE options, you may want to, just be aware of the 10 o'clock hour. And then tomorrow on pre-market, we have unemployment claims as usual. They are ticking higher, but still that 229 is within, normal-ish range, I guess. And then flash manufacturing, flash services, that comes out just after the market is open. So again, if you are trading futures, 0 DTEs, or anything like that, you just need to be a little bit aware of those times in the day. So what is trading higher over the last couple of days? So this is just a very, very simple scan. Let me see if I can make this any bigger. Does that work on that side? Oh, it does a little bit. Okay. Wow. Okay, so this is just a very simple scan of what's trading higher over the last 5 days. I did increase the price to like $5 or more because I saw a lot of penny stocks. And then I did throw in a volume filter just so that we weren't getting some of these lower, like 20,000 share stocks that had, rise a penny and then all of a sudden they're on the list. But sometimes I like to do this just to see, what industries are sort of rising to the top. Are there any stocks that maybe I'm not aware of that, the saying goes, there's a bull market somewhere. There are certain stocks that, and why I love trading as a group, there's stocks that you guys follow that I don't necessarily follow, or industries that you follow or you've worked in that I don't necessarily follow. And so it's good to know more about stuff. That's someone actually put us on to in MTC, in the Millionaires Trader Club channel. Someone put us on to Archer Aviation, which is like these personal robo taxis kind of thing. That was just a sector I wasn't following. But if you actually look at some of the stocks that are moving higher over the last 5 days, there's like Joby Aviation, Archer, Avian, whatever. So there's these companies that you may not know about, but that are performing really well. And so that's why just a very simple scan of what's trading well over the last 5 days or a month or whatever you want to do can get you onto stocks that you maybe don't know and maybe want to start adding to a future watch list. I think what was fascinating to me about this list is Kohl's is up 54%. Sure, it's a $14 stock, but in 5 days, Kohl's is up 54%. So something's going on there. For anyone who's around a few years ago, Webull, fascinating story. As far as a financial publisher turned broker, and they had some legal trouble, and they're working their way through that one. But that was a fascinating name to see on that list. Other ones on this list, QuantumScape, again, quantum computing, that has really been taken off, even though it's a $13 stock. So oftentimes when we look at these, bull put spreads or whatever we're doing, we tend to have a filter saying, well, it needs to be $60 or more, it needs to be $100 or more to really get the premium. But sometimes you miss some of the lower price stocks. And whether you trade options or just buy the stocks, some of these, are worth at least checking out. Now, I took that and said, okay, well, let's find some bigger names that we're all a little bit more familiar with. So I did the same scan, but only looking at the S&P 500. And that was more just to see what sectors are rising to the top. On Monday, we always talk about sector rotation. So I was just trying to see what stocks are rising, or what sectors are rising. And over the last 5 days, you don't see a lot of technology stocks. It's finance, basic materials. So again, we're seeing this increase with industrials, increase in materials, and increase in finance. And that's something that we've been talking about for a couple of days now. And you can actually see that in the stocks that are rising to the top. All right, so that's it for PowerPoint presentation. I do want to go over, let me just stop this share. I'm going to go over, John shared with you a few stocks that he's looking at. And I'm going to share a very simple scan that I also do in Thinkorswim. We'll look at what stocks showed up there, and then we'll get you on your way. It's already 20 minutes in, so.
I thought you said you didn't have anything today.
I just apparently like to listen to me talk. I don't know. Which
Sorry
is
for the interruption on my side, folks. The internet broke here for 30 seconds. So,
oh,
Jeff, glad you were here to take
yeah,
over.
well, that's no fun. Um, well, I'm glad that you're back. All right, so this is just a very simple exponential moving average stack, if you will. So 21 period has to be above the 50 period, 50 period has to be above the 200 period. So if you imagine 3 lines, 3 exponential moving average lines, the stock. So if you're a momentum trader, you want all 3 lines, and you want the close to be pretty much above those lines. If you're a pullback trader, maybe you look into saying, hey, the close has to be below the 21-day moving average, but the 21-day moving average has to be above 50, has to be above 200, whatever. So you can look at it a couple of different ways. And then I was looking at implied volatility of at least 30%, or the percentile being above 30%. But I did cap it at 84, just saying, hey, I don't want anything too crazy. I just want maybe something to trade options, but nothing, nothing ahead of earnings or anything like that. And actually, I put in doesn't have earnings within the next 20 bars. Hopefully, you can all see this okay. I've been messing around with Zoom settings, trying to make my screen. Nope, that made it smaller on the live view. Let's see if
It's readable.
hopefully you guys can see that. Okay. I know there was someone in MTC yesterday who said it was hard to see my screen, so trying to
You
fix that.
guys, you guys just traded IREN, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. So we traded IREN in MTC, got out in what, 2-3 days, something like that. We've traded. I know Dave has traded IBIT before. So there's a couple of actually Advanced Auto Parts were in that one in MTC. So there's definitely some of these names. And then I have a custom rank that I do on these just to figure out which ones I want to look at. But again, not many even hit this scan to begin with. And for me, my rank needs to be above 100 before I would even trade it. So what I wanted to look at was Oracle. That was it's a big name. And so it's, it's an easy one to identify. So I wanted to take a look at Oracle really quick. It did hit the scan. Not necessarily a trade recommendation, but I wanted to at least show you once it hits this type of scan, which again, very, very simple, just a 21-day above 50, which above 200, then, in high IV implied volatility, then how can we take something like this and see if we can trade it? So I'm going to go out, stop that, go to my trade screen. If I can find my trade screen. All right. The joy of having, as John knows, the joy of having so many monitors is that sometimes they move around on you and you can't find where they are. All right, let me just see if I can fill up the live screen a little bit more. Okay,
You're good.
hopefully that works. Okay, so so here is Oracle, and you can see it overall, it's been in a nice uptrend. Again, since April, everything's been in an uptrend since April, or just about everything's been in an uptrend since April. However, the last 3 days have pulled back some. It looks like 238.11 was yesterday's close. We're looking to open a little higher, 238.85 to 239.25. So maybe we get a little bit of a bounce. Here's the 20-day moving average. So we'll see if we can bounce above that. I don't have all the EMAs on here because I don't need that. Mine are set those up in the scan so I kind of know where they are. But what we're looking for now is that this is a high IV rank, has a high implied volatility percentile, and it's pulled back 3 days. Now what I would be looking for is where can I set this up? So there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. And what I would do is just go out to the trade. The next monthly option is 23 days away. It's 15 August. If you go to your chart, we can see this swing low down at 228-ish. I don't know that it's going to get all the way down to a swing low. You can do, you can draw some trend lines. Oops, I said you can draw some trend lines. Drawing trend lines, not an exact science, but maybe you would feel comfortable at this 233-ish level or 230, just underneath this trend line. So go out to the next nearest monthly. Let's say 230 happens to be a 32 delta, which for some, I know some people like only trading 15 deltas or below. But when you've drawn your trend line, you have a theory about the stock. The stock has done really well over time. It's just had a 3-day pullback. Then maybe you feel a little bit more comfortable being moving your short put up. I'm going to say the word aggressive. It's not really aggressive. It's just a little bit more closer to the money. So you can do like a 230 by 225. That gets you $1.45 on a 5-wide spread. Or if you want to back that off a little bit, 227 by 222.50, currently showing anywhere from 93 to $1.18. So if the natural is 93 and mid is $1.18, you can always ask for more. Maybe you get filled at $1.23-ish, $1.25. It'll be interesting to see, once the market opens, that those prices may change. But it was just a very quick walkthrough of a very, very simple scan, looking for momentum using 3 different moving averages, and then taking that stock and then kind of going out to a chart, figuring out your swing low points where you feel comfortable with, and then setting up an options trade from there. Now, if you want to see more of that, obviously we do a lot of that in Millionaires Trader Club that I'm a part of. But that's just a very quick freebie version of kind of what we do.
Awesome. All right. Well, we have Millionaires Trading Club at 11 a.m., Income Masters at 12:30 p.m. Today. So wherever you're trading, hope you have an enjoyable session. Let's hope we get some more closes happening. I remember looking back on Monday, it was what, 35 minutes after we finished Breakfast Club that we had 3 or 4 trades close in a row for Millionaires Trading Club. So it's been a pretty busy week already. And a reminder for those of you, for everyone, tomorrow, 4 p.m., happy hour, we'll be discussing the upcoming Millionaires Trading Club live event in October. We'll also be talking about something that we're bringing back to Traders Reserve, to you members, and some other forward-looking ideas, as well as really a mini, not a deep dive, but a mini dive into managing emotions in the present market environment. Just a couple of quick ideas to help you navigate. So I'll be sharing those with you tomorrow at 4 p.m. Dave will be along with me to talk through what he's been doing inside of Millionaires Trading Club. And then Jeff and I will be back next Monday, July 28th at 8:30 a.m. for Breakfast Club. For all of us here, thanks for joining us this morning or for watching the replay. Replay will be up in just a few minutes. And we will see you again either in a live trading session today, tomorrow, Friday, or in Breakfast Club again next week. Thanks, Jeff, for everything you walked through. And we'll see all of you very soon.